are we still noting like outdoor weather conditions or like indoor, like what's the temperature?
So,
Yeah.
both. So like, on the evidence recovery checklist on the top, it should be asking like temperature outside of environment or weather.
It just says
conditions.
weather conditions.
So you will depict what's out there, you know, what's the temperature outside, and then like as you go inside, so that you would have additional notes on the inside as well, okay?
It's 43. Thank you. It's 40? 43.
It's 71 degrees in here, I swear. You guys checked it. Okay, so looking at the scene recovery checklist, you all are here. Today's date, you guys know that, right? It's Tuesday. Call it a death investigation. We received the call at 3:20 and we arrived at 3:50. Whatever, you can, if you have something already there, you can just leave it. But that's kind of those of you who don't have that there yet.
AM or PM?
PM. We have a case number of, is this lab 5? Lab 5. 817, is it East Franklin Street? Or is it West Franklin Street? I don't know. West Franklin. You can put my name as the victim. You can leave the other information blank for now. Personnel on scene, put your name and then like comma and just put class. And then again, scene search person is you. When we go into the initial phase, like the scene was secure, when you got here, check mark. You question the first officer, check mark. We're just going through these one at a time. There's no secondary scene, so you might be like N/A or a check mark. It's your discretion depending upon the scene. Legal authority for search, check mark, and put public property. And then we'll pause before the preliminary scene survey, right? As you get all that going, then you go over to your graph paper, and then you can go ahead and start doing any specific environmental conditions in here that you see. 71 degrees, like I swear, it's 71 degrees in here. Any noises, lights are on.
We're doing that on this paper?
Yeah, that's where I would put it. Yes.
What were you putting in the weather conditions on the front page?
It's
Or do we do 43 in pub? I think it's like that.
what's the temperature outside?
43.
43 it is. So it's cloudy currently. 43 degrees outside. Window blinds open. As far as environmental conditions, like just look at your space and try to maximize. Like door was open, all windows do not have accessible, they don't go up or down. That's something that's important. Cameras present, that's a good clue. I mean, there's several cameras, you can not annotate that. When you do your environmental conditions, like evidence considerations, that red stain right there will be present. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the money 5.
Isn't it just one too?
Just that one right there, just the red stain there. Don't worry about that one, not in play. Don't worry about these, not in play, okay? I mean, how many bullet holes do they need? Or defects? Once you have that information, you start to sketch. We're not gonna measure these walls, we're just gonna pretend these walls are not in play over here. And we're just focusing on the room. That wall is a flat wall. And you can identify on your rough sketches what is what, right? You can draw the little love seat over there and you can call it love seat. You can call these 2 chairs and 2 tables. Sneak through. We'll get some more measuring places.
Consideration to do like accurate measurements.
Oh, yeah, it is right. I think we're just drawing it up.
It just has to,
furniture.
yeah, you're just like doing like,
So what is he talking about?
like bullet casing.
Like right down No, I think he's saying which evidence.
Yeah, cause there's like bullets on there and there's like a bullet on the side of the door in red stand, so he's just
He's
like,
saying what's evidence.
there's 5 pieces of evidence that we're focusing on, like for this.
Might have to get a plumb bob too.
Just can't give some evidence. You can't raise document. Oh. Yeah.
Are we including these tables in
Yeah,
there?
put the tables in, it's just like, yeah, that one's freestanding, that one's flush in the corner over there. Be precise in your, when you start to draw this out, don't forget about that little, corner over there too, it's not just a big rectangle, that's something that has to be in play.
The obtrusion.
It's a very simple sketch, relatively speaking, right? There's no interior walls, they don't have, like, there's no thickness of like something sticking out. Big rectangle, I said disregard this stuff, we're just not gonna even look at that.
For this, are we starting from like the wall there?
So when we draw this out, you're gonna
Start.
definitely have this as a reference point all the way back down, and let's just pretend this is not in here, just for the sake
Okay.
I mean, we can include it, but it's just not worth it. So just like, once you get past this window, go right past these fake walls, hit there, and go straight down to the other wall, partition wall.
Yeah, or like, just say what it is. Yeah. Like, just a short description.
So when you're done and you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, it's done, there should be no reference points at all. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and I might not even measure all the pieces of furniture. I might just do like 3 of them to show you how to do that and just leave the others. And we'll get there when we get there, but once we get started, we're gonna definitely start to decide to what's logical progression, what are we gonna address first, how are we gonna address it. We're gonna address it with triangulation, we're gonna do baseline. I wanna do baseline to kind of show you how that works. At this point in the game, there is there should be no evidence on your stuff, right? There should be no evidence except evidence considerations as a rundown, correct? It should not be on your sketch, right?
Right.
It's just in the notes.
Okay, I'm just gonna take this to show you how to do triangulation on a table. So, dollar bill is not on the floor anymore. If you just wanna put on table, I'm sorry. I'm evaluating it because I want you to see triangulation on a table.
So, do you have evidence in your sketch? Are we just writing down what's?
Evidence considerations, you're coming at the crime scene, you're like, what am I gonna possibly collect here in the collection phase? And you're like, okay, there's a cartridge case on the floor, there's a knife on the ground, there's some glasses, and then you have the red stain on the wall, and then you have the $2 bill, or I think it's a $2 bill.
Just doing that one red
Just the
thing?
one
Yeah.
red stain, not the one over on the door.
Are we ignoring those sequences?
No, that's part of it, we're gonna do that elevated, we're gonna see how we do that. We'll get that, yes,
For the sofa, can we just draw like a circle?
for what?
For the sofa, am I trying to like get it to actually look like?
So for that chair, you're doing a rectangle, right? That's all you need, you don't need to get super fancy.
Maybe it's on square.
It's-
Just want the sofa be a rectangle?
Well, this is a little bit longer, like, it's more long than it is, wouldn't you say? Is it a perfect square?
Very square.
Okay, then go square, square, and then go with like
Right.
elongated, you're gonna write on it, love seat or sofa, whatever. And then your tables, relatively speaking, are larger than the sofa.
Should we be depicting the carpet?
Should we be what?
Depicting the carpet at all?
I mean, it's gonna be in the photography, I personally would not, unless I was collecting a stain off of it or something maybe, but at this point, I would just leave the carpet in the photography and not get it on the sketch.
And do you want us to depict the right way?
This thing here, no, it's just reporting us. The only thing over on this side of the door that we'll be looking at and dealing with maybe is that table, that's it, nothing else. So for me, I wouldn't even have this like here.
You had mentioned.
It would just be gone. Okay, that's fine. Just maybe just line through it, just like it doesn't exist kind of thing.
Okay.
Table, you put the rug in, that's fine, okay? Yeah,
So
now,
should I do like an X and then just write
just gently just do like lines here, this is like, it's like inside the wall, right? So you're just like, it's not in play, okay, works for me, cool. Environmental conditions on there, north arrow, okay?
More, can I just put over here?
Yeah, you can put it anywhere, like, and it's pointing in the corner of that room over there.
That's north?
That was one?
This is north right here, yeah. I'm gonna say about like here.
For the north arrow, do you want it in the sketch?
No,
or on
outside of
side?
it.
Okay. So just really-
Yep, or you can write north, whichever you prefer. I mean, me, I just throw N there. Your drawing looks to be ready to roll. Okay. So like, just looking at, as I see quickly around the room, kind of like as I look, let me see this. This is about as small of a drawing as you should have, right? Like hers is tiny, which she can get away with it. That's like really small. I don't want you to redo it by any means, but just kind of as we go forward, that's good size right there because you could really get detailed. So I like this size minimum. Thank you. Yep, looks good. So yeah, so when we go forward, when I see pencils start moving and stuff, we're gonna be at that point where we transition into the collection phase, and that means we're gonna start thinking about how we're gonna start deploying the baseline and start going after the evidence. And we're gonna do what I call the paperwork shuffle. So you're gonna be seeing yourself like transitioning from page 2 of the recovery checklist to the grids, going back and forth. We have to be very firmly aware of knowing what's what, like, because they look kind of the same. So page 2 of the recovery checklist is gonna be one thing, and then the grids are gonna be entirely a different thing, right? So be aware as we go back and forth with each piece. And that's what this is a TA intensive class, and it always never seems to fail because the TAs are in AAFS, so I'll be, doing a lot of the pulling of tapes so that you guys can keep up with the paperwork, because I think it's, to do the paperwork and to be engaged with that is more learning than actually just pulling the tape. So that's kind of how we're gonna go. And then I'm gonna articulate on the walls, like, hey, these walls are designed to actually be written on, isn't that great? So I'll use the walls to kind of assist me, like writing how you would put stuff in your grid sheets.
Did you guys get your names on your sketches?
We have to do like the case number, your initials, the date.
All right, how we looking?
Each other thing.
It looks like everyone's pretty much getting close, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do, and there's many ways to do this process, but I'll kind of guide you to kind of make it kind of quicker. I'm gonna force us into certain measuring techniques so that we have to learn them. And then we're also gonna we're gonna have to deploy them in the scene PD as well. So we're gonna use triangulation. Why? Because we're gonna force it. Not because it's the most effective and efficient way, you know what I mean? So we'll just, as we go through, we'll talk about that. So, are we ready to go? Okay, so coming over here, logical progression. You did your photography, you did your preliminary scene survey, you walked out, you're done. You've got your rough sketch initiated. So on recovery checklist, page 1, rough sketch initiated, check. What else is left there? Overall photos, we would have taken them, check. Anything else? No? Okay, so now we would be transitioning into the collection phase. So as we would go out and get all of our gear, we might establish a safe zone around the back, outside of here. And there's nothing that is fragile, that is imminent, that we need to address immediately. That one is susceptible to getting kicked. So without question, I would do the cartridge case first. So, well, what about the red stain? That's closer to your entry point. It's not going anywhere. This is the one that's dangerous, so I'll address that first, okay? And then I'll deal with that thing later, right? Okay, so at this point in time, let's say we're gonna establish a baseline for at least 2 of these pieces of evidence that's on the floor. And maybe that pair of glasses, maybe we'll see if we could do that as well. Let's go ahead and establish a baseline. So if we're over here, you can establish the baseline here, but can anyone see that there might be some physical obstructions going on here?
Yeah.
So maybe we would move it that way, but when you think about this, you have to use some common sense and you're gonna need a verification measurement. You don't just arbitrarily just put it up against the wall. So I'm gonna use the outside wall, I'm gonna pull a nice even measurement to be able to go right down the middle of all the furniture. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. If I can get in here, I'm going to use this to measure over here, and I'm going to go about 4 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right at the 4-foot mark. And I'm gonna go right like this, making sure it's right at 4 feet. And I literally am looking at this side of the tape. The side of the tape closest to the door is 4 feet. Okay, so that's that. I started the baseline. So I would get out my camera. Maybe I need to fix it permanent, maybe I'd come back here, maybe I'd shoot it this way, maybe I'd shoot it that way. Whatever the case, I take the mid-range without scale with scale. And so then I would come up and start measuring this with the X and Y axes. So right now, I want everyone here to go to their page 2 of the recovery checklist, and it's gonna be item number 1, and it's floor level. So I want you in the checklist to simply put item number 1. In the item area, it's a cartridge case. That's it, nothing more to it. And then you look over and you got mid-range, check mark, close up without scale, check mark, close up with scale, check mark, right? Okay, so we're gonna pause right there when we get to that point. And then we're gonna go back to the rough sketch. We're gonna pause on the rough sketch for now. I'm waiting for. Okay, so the rough sketch. We know we already took the picture. It is 1. If you want, you can literally put a circle and a 1 on your rough sketch where it is. It's in front of the door, you know. You look at it proportion-wise, right? It's not past the tables, is it? So I put the 1 in a circle right there. Okay, so we got that going. Before we do anything else, we need to establish that baseline. So make sure over here you have a 0, right where that is, dot, 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 all the way to the wall with an arrow pointing over there on the north wall area. Just straight down, right through the middle, all the way to the wall, right? And if you look at it, it's not going to hit that corner. It's going to go all the way through, right? Then off to the side, you're going to have to say, baseline was established. Can we call this the south wall? On the south wall, running north, you have to make this up on the fly, 4 feet from the east wall. And you could do it 10 different ways, right? And you can say it in your own words, whatever the case is. You need to know where it started. It's on the south wall. How far away? It's like 4 feet from the east wall, running parallel to the east wall, to the north wall. I mean, however you want to say it. Just make sure that it's in your own words and it's somewhere off of the. Every baseline you do, you have to do that for every one of them. Okay?
You're supposed to put the time, right? Like-
You don't have, I mean, you don't have to really determine exactly what the time that you established your baseline. I don't think you have to worry about that. You could, that's very thorough of you and it wouldn't hurt. So, in your notes, that's fine. Okay, going back to the measurement stuff. Mid-range without scale, with scale. Okay, we need to measure this item, so I'm gonna just show you a quick incremental drop. And of course, we have to deal with the $2 bill, so that's in my equation. As I think about it, right, what's going through your head? It's like, I can't have this tape in the darn picture, and I know I haven't dealt with number 2. So it's just like, well, you have to calculate in your brain, how is your mid-range gonna go? For me, I'm doing horizontal format, and I'm not getting the floor. And I'm gonna shoot it in this kind of fashion. Does that make sense? So you have to have all this in your equation as you're doing stuff like this. All right, so I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna come back and grab some duct tape. And my back's gonna snap a million times, so don't worry about that, right? I've gotta do the verification measurement. I cannot just make it up. Okay, so I gotta be very thorough with my process. Okay, so I'm going for the cartridge case, correct? All right, I've got my photography done, correct? Okay, so then the dummy end goes to the evidence always, and you never can touch the evidence with, no matter how much you clean this, it's dirty, it's compromised. So, and I'm gonna get close, y'all. I mean, you guys are, I'm not gonna have someone get on their hands and knees and do this, so if I touch it, don't hate me, okay? Because there'd be someone else there. This is a 2-person operation. I would have a book over here to make sure I'm perfectly at 90 degrees, you know what I mean? Because this might be slightly askew off. Okay, so I'm going for center mass of the cartridge case. So at this point, I want you to turn to the measurement grid sheet, and it's going to be item number 1. It's going to be a circle. In the description area, or in that like blank area, you're going to go cartridge case, and we're going to like detail the heck out of it in a minute as to what it is and stuff. But right now, we're going to be doing a positive Y and a what X? Negative X for the cartridge case, okay? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and call it out to y'all. And when you're working with pairs and teams, it's always best to call out the positive Y first, and then you call out the negative X and stuff. So in this case, under where it says positive Y, I have 5'2", positive Y. Does everyone know where to put that? Okay? And then the negative X is going to be, I'm calling it 6'2½". I'm going to round to the nearest half inch. Now, when you get into scene PD, you're going to realize that it doesn't go to the nearest, it goes to the nearest inch. So you're just going to have to round it when you get to scene PD, but it is a half.
Is
Yeah.
abbreviation okay? Like 5, like the 2 little lines? 2.
Yes, whatever, however you know exactly how it is, that's what you want. So again, it was 5'2", and it was 6'2½". And I measured to the right side of the measuring tape, because depending upon the measuring tape, it could be an inch thick, so you just kind of stay consistent with the same tape. Okay, so you have that. So picture, if you will, you're ready to go. Change gloves. You got your packing material, you brought it over here. You got it, you would change gloves at this point, and you would pick it up. And I can't even tell what the hell that is. I'm going to have someone with eyes. I saw WCC, I didn't see Bob.
Yeah, WCC 88.
Okay. And is it brass? I think it's brass.
Yeah.
There's nickel or brass. Those are your 2 choices. I'll take one if you want to get rid of it. Okay, everyone good? This is gone. It's packaged, sealed, secured. So again, we're looking at the grid sheet. You have that information. It's brass, it's WCC 88, and that's all you really need for the cartridge case. You've got the information there. You don't really need to do a reference, like a baseline orientation type of a diagram in there. You might for the knife, but not for a cartridge case. You have the rough sketch with 1 and a circle in it, and then page 2 of the recovery checklist has everything done. And then you go check, 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 all the way down, you seal and secure it, and you're done with item number 1. You do not go into the page 2 and start detailing WCC 88 and all that stuff. That's in the grid sheet, right? Okay, 1 is done. We all good? Excellent. Okay, we're going to do triangulation. We have a $2 bill. So we're coming in, like I said, we would never put our gear and crap on any kind of fixed surface, right? We got to fingerprint process that final phase. So we would have all of our junk on the floor. I have junk on the table. That's not what we would do. Mid-range, without scale, with scale, item measured. Okay, how am I going to measure this? I could get the plumb bob out, go to center mass. Can you guys envision the plumb bob dropping down to the baseline right now? And that's kind of not as accurate as like something off of the table. Like I was in the picture, I could do a coordinate method like this, up and then over, and measure it that way and do coordinate. But we're going to do triangulation on this particular item because I want you to see triangulation in action. So number 2, $2 bill, right? And you can call it fake $2 bill. You can put a square with a 2 right on the rough sketch right now because we've already photographed it with the scale there. You can do that. And so we're going to look at this and say, well, how are we going to measure this? You can do a little diagram within the grid under the evidence to show the table and what T1 and T2 are. You can do T1 and T2. You can simply draw it right on the rough sketch where it is. You guys see that? T1 and T2? Because I'm going to measure triangulation from this corner and that corner to the $2 bill. So you have a list of things that you can do. You have this, you have $2 bill. Like that's in your grid, this is the grid. You might even just, you could even do something like this and go T1 and T2, and you can call this wall, south wall. And you can, because you need to know where you're measuring from. You can do that, you can do it right on the rough sketch. Does everyone see that? Ultimately, we're gonna take two measurements over here where it says TP1 on your grid. You guys see that? It's like, I need a measurement for here and here. I'm gonna have T1 and T2, and I'm gonna have a measurement. .7 from T1, and then we're going to pause and make sure that we're all on the same page. 2 foot 8 inches, and so this is like the area in the evidence recovery grid. That's it. That's what I would have in there. So again, is everyone kind of recognizing that for your evidence grid? Question.
So if you put 1 and 2 right here, does that have to stay consistent?
Right, I would put it right down here for number 2, you know what I mean, because we might have another triangulation. So I would just tuck it in there, because I might have some other points that I'll use.
So quick question, we wouldn't put T1, T2 on this page, it would go on the
No,
separate.
it would be right here. Number 2, it would be like $2 bill fake. You would not use this,
Right.
and you would come over here and you put T1, T2, and right in there you put 2 foot 7, 2 foot 8.
Okay.
Yep, and then if you go well, what the heck does that mean? There you go, I know exactly what you did. And because that those numbers are over here, I know you did triangulation.
But we wouldn't put it for table furniture, right? No, I'm thinking too deep into it.
You're thinking too deep into it.
Okay.
We're gonna do furniture in the final phase. You're talking evidence right now. We need to be able to place the evidence. So I don't even have the measurements of the table right now. I'll get that later. And I'm gonna have that length, width, and height of the table. And when I do it in Scene PD, I'm gonna plop the table into the corner, and then I'm gonna do triangulation from those 2 points, and I'm gonna just drop it on top of the table. But we're not doing the table. It's all about evidence first in the collection phase. So does everyone see that? So on the change gloves, right? So page 2, I have a 2, and I have, call it a fake $2 bill. And then I have all my check marks done. I brought my packaging there. I sealed, secured this, pre-labeled, sealed, secured. I got it out of there. I have a square on my rough sketch, roughly in the exact position of where it was, right? Around in there. And then over in my grids, I have something of this nature in there. And just because it's over here, I know I triangulated. And I know that people that weren't even here can actually figure it out because they'll know what T1 and T2 are because you have it on your rough sketch. And this is the triangulation area. So that's that. Is everyone good with that?
Should we, for collective buyer, we just put it
Excuse me?
right, collective buyer?
Yes, just initial yourself. Seal, secure, that's when, if you're working in a team and someone physically seals and secures that, that'd be their initials. You put everything in the wrong spot, right? So you would have T1 here and T2 there. Very important. You would take your 2 and move it over here. Because it was literally taken from the side wall. You good? Okay, T1, T2, fake bills, T1, T2. Okay, and then did you do anything on the rough sketch? Okay, these 2 points, TP1 should be right here and TP2 should be over here. Does that make sense? Your 2 is in the right spot. Yep.
It's supposed to be on there. I mean, you kind of.
No, we're gonna do all of our notes one piece at a time when we get there in the collection phase in the grace, right? Like that's, like we're not gonna, in the survey, we're just gonna go and say there's a knife on the floor.
We had this many files.
We're not gonna spend time just locking into one piece of evidence. We're just gonna identify it quickly to move forward. And then when we transition to the collection phase is where we detail out the piece of evidence and extensively. So even so, okay, I said fake $2 bills. It's like, okay, in the description, you could literally put the numbers in here. You could say it has some sort of Chinese writing on it and all that stuff to detail it out in the grid. So the number is H 22734-689A. And it has Chinese writing on it, front and rear. And that's good enough. It says like series 1967, 1976 if you care. Okay. All right, T1 and T2. Is that a pen? Did you see all the 100 pencils in there? Did you go dig in there and find a pencil? Go in the office and get a pencil. It gets crazy. I told you, you gotta have pencil in here because we're always gonna mess up. It's inevitable.
I should leave that, right? I leave that.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning from that. So in your case, you've got the information. It doesn't hurt, but just know the process. It's about the process, right? So we're gonna leave that. We're gonna detail it out one piece at a time as we work through it, and that's that, right? So we got number 2. Everyone good? Okay, we're moving on. This is page 2.
The order of it's just.
You're good. You're good.
It's just the order.
You're good, and you're good.
Right.
So then I go back, it's like, okay, you got T1 and T2.
I figured the casing was.
Perfect. Looks good to me. I would put an arrow here and a 0 here.
0.
Okay, moving on to the knife. Mid-range with outscale, with scale, right? Item measured, so now we gotta do that. So the knife is on the floor. Just it's gonna be on the negative baseline. Make sure it's kind of relatively in the position. It's gonna be a circle. It's gonna be, we'll deal with the red stain later. Verify 4 feet, tape it down, incremental baseline drop. Okay? Now here comes this is an interesting piece of evidence. It's a knife with red stain and it has some priority. There's some seriousness here. So we're not going to do center mass like we just done for our other 2 pieces here, right? So we have our number 3. It's a circle. It's on the rough sketch. On page 2, we've got a 3 and it's a knife. We have the mid-range without scale, with scale, and now we're at the measured place. While we're measuring it, we need to kind of rotate to that grid and start the grid process. So here's what I want you to look at and think about when you do your grid stuff. 3, circle. We like our symbols in the grids, not the recovery checklist. We know it's a knife at this point in time. We will come back with K-N-I-F-E. We're going to get more detailed here in a second. So I want reconstruction on that piece. See how the tip is pointing? I want to know that without seeing the photographs. I want the blade, it's like the serrated area is away. So I'm drawing this puppy. I'm going to do 3 measurement points here. So I'm going to do something like this. That's really bad serrated, but you get the idea. And then the 0 points over here because I want it relative to the baseline. I'm going to do 3 measurements. Center mass and the tip is going to be as I come to it. I'm going to say K1 is the tip. So over here, I'm going to have a K1, a K2, and a K3 with 3 measurements off of the baseline. And I'm going to identify what those are on the diagram. You're going to draw the circle on the rough sketch with a 3.
Isn't it a baseline with right?
You're going to go to the grid. This is my grid. And you're going to have, kind of like the baseball bat, we're doing a similar thing here. We're going to orient the knife to the baseline. You see how it's up and on the negative side? Right? So I'm showing that. And I'm also showing that K1 is the tip that I'm going to measure first. Even though it's further away, it's up the baseline, it's closest. So it's going to be K1, K2, K3. That was, I mean, it works, right?
Can you go to the baseline?
the diagram
I
here?
think we're just confused because why wouldn't you put it like the way you're looking at it instead of like that?
You can do it that, and as long as the knife is oriented the same way. And I think it's the way it is because I'm doing it, I'm literally standing here looking at it like this way.
Serrated edges on
It's on the side of the way, isn't it? So it's away from the zero.
I think he drew it
Oh,
like this, like upside down.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to draw.
Should I go like this and go like this a little bit?
It's like.
It's right, it just doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Doesn't that work?
Yeah.
You have to have it proper oriented with the proper tip going away from the baseline, the serrating going to the furthest away from the 0, 0 point. And yeah, you can draw it. If I turn this baseline like this, some people can do it easily that way and then have the knife pointed like this. It doesn't matter as long as it's K1, K2, K3. It doesn't matter how you rotate, as long as it's relative to the baseline proper. I don't care how that is, but I did it this way because that's the way I'm looking at it. Okay? All right. So imagine someone's over here being extremely cautious to not have this touch the knife. So K1 is the tip. I'm going to make sure it's squared with something square here, like a notepad that I don't have currently, but you get the idea. Okay. Positive Y for K1 is 12. Nope, it's 13'1". And then we have a negative X of 3'6.5". Going to K2, (13'4" on the positive Y, negative 3'3". For K3, the butt end of the knife, 13'6", positive Y, negative X of 2'10". Okay, so you have those three measurements, correct? Boom, 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 boom. All right, so you can, if you can envision, you have just simply 3 reference points, right? That's all you have. So when you put scene PD together, you're going to use the K2 for the symbol. Does that make sense? The K1 and the K3 are just for reconstruction. We're not doing reconstruction. You're going to do a scale diagram. Use K2. It's the center point. All right? You'll see, I guarantee when you do CPD, there's going to be a lot of people putting 3 reference points in there, and that's fine. Just put your symbol in the center on K2. Okay. Packing material, everything's over here. Change gloves. I would take the knife and I would flip it. I would hold it and start the descriptions and all that stuff. And I would put it in, I'd flip it and do an additional photograph of the backside at least. Evidence documentation. Okay. Red stain present on the blade. We're starting to document this in the grid underneath number 3. Now we're getting details of what this knife is. Red stain present on the blade. Total knife length is 9 inches. Blade length is 5 inches. The blade is serrated and its greatest width is 1. Wow, is it that big? Is it really? There's no way. Hold on. Call it 1 inch width. 1 inch width. Okay. Black handle is present, right? So you're documenting all this just simply below where the knife measurements are in the grid. How long is the knife? How long is the blade? What's the width, straightest width? 1 inch. Is it serrated?
Yeah.
Does that have a black handle? Okay. It is a superior stainless steel That's the name of it. It's it has Hampton Forge on it. The handle's plastic, and there's a number on it. I'm gonna give George a read. You see that number right there? Go ahead and call it out.
175-137K-7N-31.
You say.
Repeat?
I'm so sorry.
Repeat. 175-137K-7N-31.
Okay? So right now, as it stands, you should have 1, 2, and 3 on your rough sketch. On page 2 of your evidence recovery checklist, you should have 3, knife, nothing more. Check, 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 and with your initials at the back because you packaged it, sealed, and secured it. As you turn the page to your grid, you have all that detail of number 3 with your 3 K1, K2, K3 measurements, and then all the detail of the particulars of the knife. Okay? Going back to the $2 bill, Z height. We always report everything in feet and inches if you didn't notice. 2'5" is a Z height for the $2 bill. Everything else does not have a height. Are we okay? Okay, I'm gonna wait for everyone.
It's hot, I don't know what's going on anymore. Wait.
2'5" is what?
What's up?
2'5" is what? The height of.
It was 2'5". It's under the Z height for the $2 bill because it was on the table. So that would be a Z height there. 2'5". All right, we doing all right? Okay. We're gonna move on to the glasses. Mid-range, close-up without scale, close-up with scale. So right now it's elevated horizontal. So we know it's gonna be a square, quite similar to number 2 $2 bill. And so we could put the square directly on top of the chair with the 2 where it is, relatively speaking, right?
So, since you're like taking this down, you think that's like the crime scene have a bunch of these measuring tapes?
Yeah, when you go to the crime scene, you have at least 3 measuring tapes. And there are, if you don't have enough, let's say we move on to the next room, and you have to establish another baseline, you would pull this baseline up. Because now, we don't, like, crime scene, we don't have 20 tapes. We would have at least 3 or 4. And so in this case, like, we'd have at least 3 or 4. Okay. All right, so there's a few ways to look at these glasses and kind of like figure it out here. Do you want to do coordinate or you want to do baseline with the height? Coordinate, I can simply go like this and go to center mass from this corner of the chair. But I would have to write in the grid coordinate center mass, like glasses, and I would have to do the height and stuff of the chair, and I'd have to depict this as a reference point. So what do you want? Or do you want to go baseline center mass with the plumb bob over to the baseline?
Yeah.
You want to try that? All right, I'm gonna need a hand then. Okay. So our page 2 has glasses on number 4, right? And we have all of our check marks done to the point where we're doing measuring, right?
Yes.
And once we get that done, then we feverishly move back to the grid, and we're gonna have a 4. Four square glasses, or sunglasses. And now we're doing baseline. We're going to do a Y and a negative X, because that's what you guys called for. We're going to also have a Z height, right? When we get there? Okay. Are we ready? Okay, I want someone to stand here and hold the plumb bob. kind of like you're gonna put it, see how it's gonna get to the baseline eventually? Okay, so I'm gonna come over here and you're gonna call the positive y, I'll call the negative x, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna go this way, and I want you to take that and bring it over to the, you can move over there and eyeball it straight down to the baseline. As I sit here and hold this. Keep moving move the plumb bob toward the end of the tape. Keep moving like my tape, and until they both intersect. You need to keep coming until you're touching the tape. Down. Yep, you're getting real close. Okay.
Right there?
Yep. Call out what you see down there, and you can round it to the nearest inch. 15.9?
15.9 and, yeah, 15.9.
15.9 on the positive y. I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna go 4 foot 9.5 on the negative x. All right, and then your height. Two foot. What the heck? 2 foot 3. Thank you. Okay, we good? So you guys have all that. Now then, you're getting so good at these descriptors. Here you go. What is that? You changed gloves and now you're packaging and now you gotta call it out. So, their sunglasses, what color are the frames? Is there some writing on the front? There's a little tag on it, document all that.
UV eye protection against ultraviolet rays on the front. And on the side, VCU Academic Technologies, Technology
You're going
Services.
too fast.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
know.
gotta slow down.
Whoa.
We're just gonna share here.
Yeah.
The front is
Snatches.
UV eye protection, and then against ultraviolet rays. I'm gonna wait until I've gotten it written down to do the next one. Against ultraviolet rays. Alright, and then one side says VCU Academic Technologies, Technology Services.
Which side?
If you're facing it, it's the left side. Like you're looking at it this way, so if you're wearing it, it's the right side.
The academic services.
It says VCU Technologies, VCU Academic Technologies, Technology Services. Jesus Christ.
I didn't mean.
I'm
gonna have to scribble some stuff out before the next class.
Hold on, and then if you got that down, the other side says learning systems.
Oh, all right, killing it.
Learning systems.
Okay. Exhale. We have 1 through 4 on our sketch, right? We have page 2 of the evidence recovery checklist. 4 all the way down, check mark to the initials. Right? We good? On page 2 of the recovery checklist? Okay, grid. We have the height, the y and the negative x of number 4 and everything else. Cool. Okay. And so we have one more piece and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna do coordinate method for that red stain that's behind right with a y. Okay. So you could do a baseline. You can go like it would be a negative, like 0 would be the y. And then you'd have a negative x over and up. I'm gonna just do coordinate method to show you that process, right? So right here, right now we do not have any reference points noted in the sketch. I mean, we did T1 and T2 to do triangulation here, right? But that's it. So now we're gonna arbitrarily call this edge RP1. So right now on your rough sketch, call that RP1. Put it right there. Eventually, we're gonna change that when we do our overall measurements, but in the collection phase, we're calling it RP1.
Like the back side of
So the grid will be 5. it will be a triangle. We've done our mid-range, close-up without scale, close-up with scale. It's so it's going to be 5 like this. Currently, it's a red stain. Right? So we're not doing the baseline because, simply put, I just said we're using coordinate. So in the grid, rather than going X and Y, you're going to just put it over here. You're going to go coordinate method. Like right in the description. And then we'll detail the rest of the red stain out in a minute. You would go like, I would go, here's how I do a coordinate. I'm going to give them a visual here. RP1, and I'm going to have a measurement over this way, and I'm going to have a measurement up this way to item number 5, right? I'm doing a small mini sketch to depict what I'm measuring. I'm going to do coordinate method. It's like from where? And I'm telling you, it's like from the doorway over, I'm going to have a measurement, and then I'm going to height measurement right here. And I'm going to put them right here in my drawing. There's no X and Y coordinate, there's no triangulation. I'm going to do a quick measurement to center mass here, and I'm going to do a quick height measurement to center mass there, and then I'm going to detail out what it looks like. This red stain appears to be like a left hand, you know, it looks like a contact stain, that kind of thing.
Is this supposed to be double?
Yeah.
For the arrow coming from like the ground up, is there a way that you initiate this from ground up and not just coming from facing the couch or being by the couch?
So this is going to be, you can put height if you want. Like it's up, that's because I have the door here, it's almost like an elevated drawing diagram, so to me it's up because the door is in a position like that. That's like my visual, but whatever works for you, right? So if that doesn't work for you, change it up. Okay, so looking here, so I'm going to put 2'3" right here. And I'm going to put it right there. Then, and I'm going center mass, you know, I'm not going like to the edge, I'm going to the center mass of it. 4'5". Okay, so we fixed that. So when we draw this thing out, all we're going to do is we're going to use this measurement, and we're going to have a reference point because we're going to be doing a bird's eye. We're not exploding this wall. It's just going to be a point of reference for number 5. So down here, we're going to say a contact stain consistent with left hand, no ridge detail. Something, and then we're going to look at it. Total length 9 inches. I don't care where you put it. No power, no power, we've lost it.
No, I think we've already been standing.
You said 9 inches?
There we go.
No, I think it's me standing right underneath that one for some reason, but.
Okay. Are we good with that logic and how we did everything? So our evidence is done. Are we good? Anyone like going, what in the holy hell did we just do?
So we don't have to put this one on.
Yes, you do. What I would do for that, all you have is a line here, then you have a door opening, right? I would do a call out like this. That's what I would do. Okay. So are we good? So now we're done. It's a big exhale. We got all of our evidence preserved, packaged, everything's great. So now we have to go back and we have to start like we get furniture and we have to get overalls. More often than not, we do furniture first and then we do overalls second. But before we do furniture, we like to do our reference points because there are instances when we can use the reference points to our advantage. For example, I don't need to measure this table off of the baseline because it is flush into this corner. So what I can do is literally like we're gonna switch from our evidence grid to our furniture grid. And if this is the first table I measure, I would just have table 1. I'd have the length, width, and I'd have the height in the Z area. And I would say table 1, I don't know, 6 foot by 2 foot with a 2 foot 5. And it's flush to reference point D or whatever. And so that's in itself, you're done. You placed it. Every piece of evidence has to be measured in size and placement. The freestanding stuff, we're going to have to do some baseline stuff. The stuff that's flush against the wall, well, we'll just say it's flush to a wall, and then it's like a distance away from a reference point. Does that make sense? That's the way we're going to do it. So if we're good on this, I'm going to get an eraser, we're going to wipe that down, we're going to start reference points fast, and then we're going to go into the furniture. We're going to measure 3 pieces of furniture, and then we're going to be done, and we're going to go into the overalls, and that'll be it. Okay? Yeah?
It should have 5 as red
See, like, we don't have for 12 hours. I don't much for it.
Yes. Number 5, red stain only. Check, 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 check. Initial. How would we collect this at the crime scene? You would photograph the heck out of it, you would swab the heck out of it at the end. If it has ridge detail and this is some sort of like, some like sheetrock, guess what I would do? I would cut it out and preserve it. But if it's on a type of wall that can't come, I would swab the heck out of it. I'd get all my photographs and then do EQP because there might be some ridge detail, and then I would swab the heck out of it. But the best evidence would be to cut it out of the wall. Okay. Let me get an eraser, and we're going to start identifying points.
This ain't so good. This ain't not true. This a lot.
Okay.
Don't
Rough
let
sketch.
that actually come to
Having fun yet?
the
You having fun?
No.
AAFS. Hey guys, we missed you.
Oh, he's talking. Oh, y'all in the camp. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all, ooh, y'all lucky. You're supposed to draw it.
Okay. Are we ready? Are you a fan of clockwise or counterclockwise? No one wants to answer. I'll answer for you. Let's go counterclockwise because the door is in my face. So we're going to start right here at 8 RP1. We're going to call this A. So everyone go to the rough sketch and we're going to identify our points. And so it's RP1 for the piece of evidence, but now as we transition, we're just going to let that sit and it's going to be A for our overall measurements. Because we're going to have a measurement from A to B. And we don't want to go RP1, RP7, RP10. We're just going to leave that, and we're going to go with A. You ready?
Yeah.
Put it slightly to the outside of your sketch. A, B, C, D, E. And this is where you realize if you did it right. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't miss any nooks and crannies. F, G, H, I, J is the corner, K, L,
Oh, dang.
Oh,
no.
man.
That's a whole other window.
ah, M, N is the door, the back side of the door.
K, L, M, and G.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N is the back door.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For the triangulation numbers, do that
T1 and T2 are like in essence the table. So obviously like T2 is close to that corner of the wall, A, B. You know, okay? So the B will be on the outside.
Walk with the door again.
It ends in N.
In? Okay.
So like A or RP1 or like.
Alright, so the door openings have to meet, they have to be the proper size. So the frame, if there is a door frame, becomes part of the wall. It's the opening is what we measure. As opposed to windows, we measure the framing. Like, so in this case right here, we're gonna stop right here and the frame will be part of the glass. Okay? Alright, so we have our reference points. Now let's talk about furniture. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. Because that item was on there, so we'll do that. Now, if this was a murder, we would do everything, but we're doing an exercise and we don't wanna be here until 7 o'clock. So we're picking 3 pieces and going with it, okay? So you have the grid, a brand new grid for furniture. You check mark the furniture area up top, right?
So it's okay that we have the evidence over here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you told us to mark.
What do you mean,
You did tell us to put 1.
yeah, evidence
And
there.
then you also told us the table was 1.
What, we said T1 and T2.
No,
T1,
you just said that's 1.
It's a
2,
different
3.
sheet though.
I said T1 and T2.
No, just now. What are you
I
trying
don't
to
think,
for?
we're not labeling it on
Okay,
this,
that's what
he's
I'm
just
asking.
pointing out the evidence that
Okay.
we're looking at.
You said we were measuring the,
We're gonna measure this table.
right, was that supposed to be 1, 2, and you said 3? I didn't know.
Okay, we're gonna do table 1,
Okay.
we're gonna do a sofa,
Right,
and we're gonna do a chair. They do not get numbers unless there's multiple tables.
okay.
Like,
It is.
we're not gonna measure that today, so that's gonna be this table, we'll be fine. We're not
So
gonna-
we're leaving the number section blank.
Correct, for all, yes. We never put numbers in the furniture area, even if we have multiple tables, we're just gonna draw it on the table. We're gonna measure this table.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready?
No,
Sure.
no.
Okay, we're gonna wait until you're ready. What time is it? Gosh, Jack. Oh my God, I've got 45 minutes. We'll be perfectly fine.
As it noted on the document.
It's equally proportionate to how fast I talk. Right now, that's about 50%. In about 20 minutes, it'll turn into about 80%.
You've been doing this for years, that's why, you just flowing so.
We got time, you know, like, we always get restricted by time, depending upon what's going on and stuff. So first, we're going to address, we're just gonna go table. So, we're gonna be doing some drawings and stuff like that, so we have to kind of like spread it out. So number 1, this is go, so I wouldn't even write it out. I would just like, here I am, I'm going at the grid. My first thing is table. I would draw it. Now, how do you draw it? Do you draw it that way or do you draw it this way? It doesn't matter. As long as if you do a baseline orientation, it makes sense. And we had, just kind of like to bring it back to reality, remember we did T1 and T2 because we did? Because at the time, that's what we had, right? We call this table T1 and T2 for the measurement points. In this instance, can you guys see that? Look at it. You see it's like here, it's flush into the corner? So we don't even have to measure its position because we know it's in the corner. So all we have to do is identify it's in the corner. It's in the B corner. Right? But we have to measure its size. So it's 6 foot by 2'6". So I do this, I go. So I just measure the table. You can call it table if you want. If there were multiple tables, that's when I would go 1, 2, 3, but we're only measuring 1. We all know that's the table.
So do we put an item number or no?
No item numbers at all for furniture. You don't even use that all the way down, yeah.
But since our grid has 2 tables, like if we label it 1 and 2 on here, should we?
You said no, because you
If we were to measure that table, which we're not today, we would call it right here, I'd go table 1, and I'd have a table 2 eventually somewhere below. And I would identify them
We
separately.
did the height earlier.
Also, just by looking at the way I threw the baseline up there, even if I didn't have it identified, that this is the table that's in this corner. Okay, but like, yeah, we're not measuring that for time purposes. So for this particular table, we have the length, width, height. Where is it? And so we know that this is the B corner, right? So if I come over here and I say, in writing, flush to B corner, that means it's in the corner and it's not doing this. If it did that, I'd have to measure it from the baseline. But seeing that it's in the corner. Now when we get to that chair, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So, but it's flush against that, so that's all you need to know. Flush to B corner. So when you draw it, picture if you will, you draw the outer perimeter in Scene PD. and then you go, okay, I gotta do furniture now. All you'll do is create a rectangle that's 6 foot by 2 foot and jam it in the corner. And you won't even have to measure it. Okay? All right, we're moving on. Let's do the love seat. Whatever you call it. Call it the couch, call it the love seat. Can we all agree that it is not good business to measure this love seat like this? To the legs. Why? Because we have to deal with the bird's eye view. Okay, so we're looking for a position here. Can you see how the cushion bows out here too? So it becomes like you have to make some concessions here. Right? So like in some instances I would plumb bob and I'd put a piece of duct tape down here. And I'd come out to about like here. Let me see if I can do that. Because this is not a perfect real world rectangle, we have to do this. So I'm coming up to where the surface hits, and the greatest length is literally to that. I'm not going to get fancy with the drawing of this. When you guys draw it in CPD, it's going to be a rectangle. It's not going to have this arc in the front. Okay, it's going to be a rectangle. So as it comes up, and it strikes here, and it's so small that I can see it, that I can get away with this. If need be, I might have to get another one here, get some more hands, and then plumb bob it down, but this is pretty obvious. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to create a reference point here. And I'm going to create another one over on the other side. So this is, I'm creating 2 points. I'm going to call it probably C1 and C2, or for couch 1 and couch 2. And then I'm going to have to change my, for a chair, it might be CH1, CH2. But this is not flush, so this is the way we're going to do this here. So you can do it the exact way I did the table, but we are going to get a y and an x, like for each one of these points. But I want you to know that the greatest length here (4'6". I'm considering the back side of this thing, like what's the furthest out? It is this. So I'm literally going back some distance here. And I would plumb bob it if I had time. 2'4" is my width of this thing. So now we have that. And when we measure furniture, generally we get the seat area for the height, unless there's a high activity, high interest situation over here. There isn't. So I'm just going to go where the butt is, and I'm going to measure 1'5" for the height to the seated area, and that would be in the Z area. Okay. So now we have length, width, and height of this chair, or this love seat, whatever you want to call it. And now we're going to measure it in the space, and we're going to do that with C1 and C2, with a Y and a positive X.
4'6".
Does that make sense, everybody? There's no number for this thing. You're just going to have it. And so for me, this is how I would do it. I wouldn't get fancy. There's no high activity, high interest. This is C1, this is C2, and I'd have a Y and a positive X for C1. And I'd have the same thing for C2 over here. I've got my measurements here. I think it was 2'4" by 2'6". I don't know, don't remember. And then I have my Z height over here. It was a 1'5". And so now I'm just going to get a Y, an X right here to place it. 10'2", positive Y. Positive X is 1'4" off of the baseline, C1. C2. And it could be slightly crooked, so just know that, and don't worry if it doesn't match up with math. 14'8", positive Y. Positive X of 1'6". So there might be a discrepancy because it's not perfectly parallel to the baseline. Does that make sense? Okay. This is done. Which chair you wanna do?
You have to do no description about it, right?
Nope, we have the photography for the chair, we don't get into the nitty gritty with, furniture, with regard to a description, it's only about the evidence that we do that description. Okay, which chair do we want? Call it out.
We did this one.
Okay, we got one, I got 2 votes, okay, we're doing this one, sorry. Okay. Again, it gets into that nitty gritty nonsense here because it protrudes out from the darn, so, I'm gonna cheat the system because of time. And I'm gonna figure this out quickly over here, and I'm gonna slap them down to get the proper measurements over here, okay? It's been luminal about 10 times for service learning. Okay, so there's that. And then there's that. Kind of looking, trying to make sure this. Okay, we're going with 2'4" with 2'8" on the depth. So make sure you kind of annotate that as such, because it's such, like, what do you mean annotate that? So on your chair, it's sitting like this. It's just 2'8" and 2'4". You need to make sure what side it's on. You need to know, because it's so tight, you might forget. CH1, everyone see this? I'm going to call this CH1 and I'm going to call this CH2. So that when I'm calling out the measurements, we know that this is going to be CH1, CH2, and they're going to be on the negative X side. This is our last piece of furniture too. CH1, off the baseline. I got to get the height too of the chair. Let me go CH1 first, and then I'll get that.
It's just like a.
Oh, it's so close, I'm calling it 8 feet, positive Y. Negative X, 3'8". Anyone need any chainsawing done? I'm for hire. I gotta do chainsaw. Okay. I don't know if I'll do it though. I'll probably go home and take 10 ibuprofen right now. Okay, here we go. Oh, I see 10'2" for CH2, 10'2" on the positive Y, with a 4'5" on the negative X. And then finally, the height of the chair should be consistent with that, shouldn't it? Yeah, 1'5". Okay, furniture is done. Question?
For the page numbers, are we just doing the grid sheets like maybe 1, 2, 3?
In the very end, we're gonna put it into an order, and I'm gonna tell you what numbers, what the order and the numbers will be, okay?
Okay.
All right. So now that we have that, the last thing, which will take about 5 minutes, will be the measurements of the room. And that's where this thing comes in. Right? Oh, don't laser blast you, sorry. Okay, this here is just simply a rangefinder. Okay, so we're gonna switch the page and we're gonna go to overall measurements. And it's blank, you have the check mark for overall. And so it's always good practice to know the greatest length and width of your rooms. Okay, so for example, just annotate this somewhere, like north to south. The room is based on like this particular wall panel, which kind of varies because the panels are jacked up a bit. I've got 22, hold on, where the hell did my light go? Hold on, there it goes, what the hell? Does anyone see the laser down there?
Yeah.
There it
Yeah.
is. Okay. Come on. 21 foot, 6.5 inches. And this is just greatest length, greatest width action here. $20 ½ inch. Now, of course, we're rounding half inches and stuff, and so when we start going into this A to B, B to C nonsense, there's gonna be a little wiggle room of about like an inch or two, max, okay? So when you guys do your rooms in scene PD and you're like, oh my God, I'm an inch off, it's an inch. You don't have to worry about it. If it was 6 to 8 inches, you got a problem, okay? So if I do this, come on, and I go 8 foot 10 from A to B. Does everyone know how to do that? A to B is like in the item number section, and then it's 8 foot 10. We are now on a blank sheet. We're doing overalls. We're now going to overalls and final. Do you have enough sheets? Now,
So that was June.
everyone have a blank sheet to go with?
That was just A to B.
Should we also include this on the sketch?
No, not the first one.
No, because obviously this is one room and you can get away with it, but if it was multiple rooms, you couldn't get away with it. It would be a jumbled mess. So we're taking those measurements off of that with our A to B and then going and putting it like in a blank grid.
That one was
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Because now we're going to overall, so you have the check mark overall up top. Everyone got one? So it was 8 foot 10 to start. Everyone good? B to C. 20 feet, 1 inch. C to D. Notice how I rotated the thing across? And 2 foot, 8.5 inch. And that was C to D. E to F. 1 foot 6.
Wait, D to E?
E to F is 1 foot 6. What is this?
D to E.
Okay, C, E to C, C to D, E to F.
No.
E to C, C to D, D to E. Thank you.
Did you say it was in?
1 foot 6.
So this should be for all. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
D to E.
Yeah.
D to E. Everyone good? Thank you. We're going to E to F now. And if there's, if I'm screwing up, yell at me, because I don't have anything in front of me to refer to. 2 foot 5.5.
Yeah.
What's the window?
F to G.
Oh.
4 foot 7. Is this G to H? This H to I? Whatever it is.
There we go.
Hold on. It's like I don't trust it. Hold on.
Here, wait.
3 foot 5. You gonna put the clipboard up there? Let's do a verification. Okay. 3 foot 5. Yeah, we're gonna call it 3 foot 5. $4 foot 7 again? what's this back from what to what?
To J.
Oh my goodness, why is it, why can't it be? 2 foot 3.5. You guys remember the greatest length? Like this way was what?
21, 6.5.
That's what we wanna use. And that's what it is, without blasting my student here in the earball. Oh, I got a clipboard friend here. Okay, what's this one?
L. Yeah, K.
Whatever it is, it's 4 foot 7.5.
L to M.
2 foot 9. 2 foot 9. And then finally just to the door, I'll hit the door here. 1 foot 2. And then the door is, why is it gotta be so? 2 foot 8. Let me make sure the door is 2 foot 8 first. Yeah, 2 foot 8. Okay. So those are all of your measurements. So that's that. So let me pause this darn thing. How long did that take? I don't know if my phone exploded. Let's see what happens. 1 hour and a half.